Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast. I'm very excited to welcome a very special guest today, Jaimie Crooks. Jaimie is a global success coach for CEOs, founders, and public figures worldwide who want to take their performance in life and business to the next level while still achieving greater personal well-being and balance. By employing a unique blend of 360-degree coaching, hypnosis, and other powerful strategies rooted in neuroscience, with practical yet creative business savvy, she helps her clients achieve remarkable results in record time. Jaimie, welcome to the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast.
Thank you so much, Nina. Such a pleasure to be here.
Now, Jaimie, I know you have a really great story to share with our listeners. So can you just start by telling us how your inner game has helped you to get to the successful place you're in right now?
Well, the first thing I'd say about the inner game is something that I've noticed with the inner game is that the work is never fully done. The more that we improve our inner game, the more we realize that there's still new heights to be discovered and explored and little enhancements and tweaks to be made. So in the beginning, it definitely felt like a mountain, a big mountain to climb, getting my inner game to the place I wanted to be, but there's always still room for refinement.
So has your inner game changed from when you first started business? Because I'm guessing you didn't start off being super successful, that, when you started, maybe you had resistance, in terms of, going out and finding clients and telling them your price and marketing yourself. So just share with us how that all changed for you.
Totally, great question. So when I first began my business, I'd been very successful in the business world. I'd been in marketing both in London, and I'd moved over to New York for a big promotion. And I'd always made a really great impact in business, but I'd never had to ask someone for money before. I'd never had, except like pocket money as a child, or like, please, can I have this present? I never had to actually be the one to say, okay, here's how much this is going to cost you. I was very, very comfortable with the fact that the amazing salespeople and accounts people in the relevant organizations that I'd worked for had been the ones to do that. And I just really enjoyed delivering my job, doing my thing. And so in the beginning with my business, when I first set it up, it was super uncomfortable asking for money just because I'd never done it before. And I definitely went round in circles a bit with that. And there was a few conversations where I'd be like, the price is
choking.
So yeah, totally.
Yes. What brought about the transformation for you? What changed? And is that your cat there?
That's my little cat. My two little cats are renowned. When people come in person, they like to sit on their laps and facilitate the process. And sometimes when we're on video, they like to just pop up and say hello, just to make themselves known.
Absolutely. Why not?
So yeah, the inner game has been, incredibly important. Really overcoming that resistance in the beginning towards talking about my fees, towards charging money. There were several months where I was actually doing coaching completely free because I had such resistance towards sharing my price, which obviously, was not workable. So.
And how did you manage to change that thinking, that inner game?
So on the money piece, I would say that the being comfortable asking for money and really doing the work on the wealth mindset has probably been the single biggest thing that shifted about me since I became an entrepreneur. There were other aspects of mindset that I think we're in a really great spot already. And that was the one where I realized, oh my goodness, I've got a lot of catching up to do. And so I hired the best coaches I could possibly find. And that really helped me. And then also I hypnotized myself, and I went to go see a hypnotist myself as well, because, any good doctor doesn't kind of do their own medical stuff. So it was just constantly looking at who can I learn from, what tools can I use, including the tools that I use with my own clients, but knowing it's much more effective if I have somebody else to take me there.
Yes. And this is exactly the same thing that I found. Although I'm brilliant at spotting other people's blocks and helping them to shift them so they can create more money, it's hard to see your own stuff, isn't it?
Mm.
And I have a mindset coach who helps me to spot all my blocks and work through them. So this is brilliant. So you went in with thinking, this is somewhere where I know I'm stuck, and this is something that I want to sort out because this is going to help me to become more successful.
Yeah.
And how did it transform from, hesitating about saying your price to being able to say it more comfortably? How did your thinking change around that?
So I'd had one of the reasons that I incorporated hypnosis into my practice is because I'd had a hypnotherapist for about 2.5 years to help me deal with various kind of remnants of the past and different fears. I used to be very, very fearful. I used to be scared of basically everything. And one session by one session, we gradually got rid of every single one of my fears. And so I reached out to her to actually help me with the money piece. And we did some affirmations around, it's okay to ask for money. This is an energetic exchange. It's, the gift that you're giving to your clients is enormous and priceless, actually. And you are phenomenally good value for money. You are so committed to what you're doing. They're lucky to have you. All these kind of affirmations that I kind of knew these things at a conscious level, but we've got to get the subconscious mind to catch up. Because if we have a conscious belief, yeah, of course I'm worth it. But our subconscious is going, no, you're a fraud. And imposter syndrome is all over the shop. Then there's going to be a disconnect. So just getting the subconscious to catch up. And that's one of the things that I help my clients with, which is, a great privilege to do. And sometimes it means that when we come at things from that angle versus talking on a conscious level, you can shift something much more quickly. So I'm a big fan of the subconscious work.
Yes. And as you said, that when the subconscious and the conscious mind aren't agreeing, then there's a conflict and there's discomfort. And that's what causes us to put the inner brake on. So you got to the stage where you're realizing your value. And this is a huge part, isn't it, of working for yourself, selling your services. You're actually selling yourself, aren't you? And in order to sell yourself successfully, you have to be 100% sure of the value you're bringing your client. So could you say more about that, about, how we can really be sure of our value?
I started off, I was kind of a bit burnt out from business, honestly, by the time I left the corporate world. I didn't really want to think about business for a while. And so even though I was qualified as both a life and a business coach, I decided to focus initially mostly on life coaching. And that was so impactful and so brilliant, but I found it frustrating because it wasn't as measurable. So somebody would be like, I'm in love with myself. I feel so much happier. And I'd be like, great, okay, so how are your results doing? And often the results in their business, or if they were working for somebody else, because in the beginning I was working with lots of employees as well, their results would be better, but I felt frustrated that there wasn't a more direct link. And so that's one of the reasons why I moved into doing business coaching primarily. And we cover the mindset piece and we look at the life as part of that. But the ultimate goal is to improve results, because having that measurability, for me as a coach, it's much easier for me to explain my value and for people to see the impact that it's having and to see the return on investment.
Yes, so it's more tangible, those results, in terms of they can say, well, I increased my income by X amount, that's tangible. And measurable. However, if they say I'm happy, I've got more balanced life, that's huge as well, isn't it?
It is huge. They are both equally important. I'm definitely very results oriented, so I'm always looking for both, but of course the emotional inner results are hugely important.
And can you give any advice to our listeners about how they can really step into their value? Because so many people feel, well, who am I to say I can help so-and-so, and I don't really feel like an expert, I feel like a bit of a fraud. How can they really embrace their value? Because they're very good at what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this and helping other people. So what's that piece to help them to really step into their value?
I've really noticed that imposter syndrome exists at all levels of society. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're brand new starting out or you've been doing it for years. Imposter syndrome pops up and goes, you're a fraud, you're going to be found out, you're not really worth this amount of money, everyone's going to find out that you're not really qualified, you're not really any good. And it really doesn't matter what job you're doing, whether you're a coach, a TV presenter. I know Kate Winslet and Emma Watson have talked about it quite prominently, about imposter syndrome and how it's challenged them. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember seeing specific evidence, but I'm pretty sure it even happens to Oprah now and then. And so, you know, the big thing is recognizing that those thoughts, it's okay for those thoughts to come up. And pretty much, I did a Facebook Live last night with a friend and with my boyfriend about imposter syndrome. And, you know, my friend said, if you've got imposter syndrome, it's a great sign that you're alive. So if you think that you might be a fraud, it's just a great sign you're alive. It's totally natural. And just recognizing that fear, that thought is not a bad thing. It's not the truth. It's literally just a thought. And you are so capable, whether you're in the beginning or whether you have a very well-established business. You have incredible expertise and knowledge that the world needs. And of course, you're going to keep getting better and better if you're committed to your development and you're committed to serving your clients more powerfully. But where you are right now is perfect, and the world needs you. And I just love in my practice having this mixture of very well-established people and real newbies, and letting the newbies know you have this expertise and helping them work out how to package it and share it and overcome that resistance of like, I can't quite share yet because I'm new and I'm not quite good enough. And in reality, as soon as they're executing powerfully, the results follow very quickly.
Yes.
But in the beginning, the mind goes, I don't have any evidence yet to show that I'm brilliant. I think I might be brilliant. I was brilliant when I was working for someone else, but can I really be brilliant without a boss? So these thoughts are all totally natural.
Yes, and they come up and they trip us up and they can sabotage us and really put a block on our business if we don't handle them and work through them. So I know that you're someone who started off charging probably not a lot, and now you're charging a really, you know, you've got high-end clients that you're working with. So how did you manage to step up your prices? What was the thinking behind that in terms of how you had the confidence to do that?
Brilliant question. Yeah, I would say practice, number one. The more practice that I got, the more I became able to be really immersed in the moment and just kind of in the dance with a client. In the beginning, when I was coaching, I'd be thinking, oh my goodness, I need to say the right thing. I need to make sure it's structured perfectly. And that would kind of take me away from the moment. And now I kind of jump on a call and I have my clients fill out questions before a session, so I know what they want and need to get out of it. But once I'm there, I'm really in pure flow and feeling out what they need in the moment. And it's like dancing. And so I would say the more able that I've become to be deeply immersed and fully present in the moment and to trust in the process rather than to pre-plan everything, that's made me a better and better coach and a more and more responsive coach. Because I might get a download in a specific moment of, oh, we were going to take this direction, but I've just heard this thing that this person's never mentioned before, and it seems like it could be really huge and it could be underpinning what's really going on, because often it's not the thing that's the problem, it's the thing behind the thing. And so the more effective I've got at doing that and being that little ninja at hunting for the blocks and spotting them really quickly, that's enabled me to become more and more effective. And as I become more effective, it just makes sense that I charge more, because my clients are getting huge results. And I have a niche now as well, where I didn't have a niche in the very beginning. So in the beginning, I would work with almost anyone. It was kind of like the more the merrier. I want to help everyone. And then I realized that there was a very natural niche for me in CEOs and founders, because they think so big. the challenges are more exciting, the opportunities are more exciting, the challenges are more, there's more on the line. So that's been really big, just seeing those results and racking up the evidence in my mind of,
Yes.
yeah, all these people have got massive results. Okay, yeah, I'm really legit now.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's really important. And I liked what you said about when you're in the flow with the client, you're just there for them and you're picking up things. It's deep listening, isn't it? When you get out of your own way and you can really focus rather than worrying, how am I coming across? What am I going to say next? How can I impress the client? And this is really important in the sales conversation as well. And this is an area I'd love to explore with you, because so many people are really worried about picking up the phone or getting on Skype or Zoom to have that sales conversation with a prospect, because they're worried about the outcome, then they fear rejection. And when you get in the flow and you're not focusing on yourself but on the other person, that's when you have the best sales conversations, whether they buy from you or not, because you can still bring tremendous value into that conversation.
Yeah, totally.
So
I love that you shared that, because whenever I'm doing a consultation, I'm so unattached if we're going to work together. I'm just really interested in how can they get the most possible value out of this conversation, and how can we together do the most spectacular dance ever.
And this is reminds me of the book you recommended, The Go-Givers, which has resonated very strongly with you, and it resonated very strongly with me, because I think we both come from the place that we want to give and add value. So this is something I think is a huge game changer for anyone who's worried about getting on a call with a prospect, because once you go in thinking, I'm going to give as much value as possible, no matter whether they buy from me or not, that changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does. I think, I'm sure we've both been in conversations where we've gone for a consultation with someone, either in person or virtually, and you can feel that person is trying at the earliest possible opportunity to close you, and it just really it taints the process. It's like if you put coffee in your omelette, you'd be like, oh, it's just not as delicious. And I think the thing that people don't realize, who are so focused on closing, is actually reduces their likelihood of closing, or they end up with a very high close rate but a very high rate of buyer's remorse, but then afterwards they don't pay, or they pay and then they go, actually I can't make this work, can I have a refund? And I don't ever get any of that, so, as I'm sure you don't either.
Yes, and that makes a big difference. So what's the main mindset tip, the biggest mindset tip you can share with our listeners who are entrepreneurs? They'll be coaches, healers, therapists, they're all business owners. What's the best mindset coaching tip you can give them?
It's such a big question. I love it. How do I pick one thing? Do you know what I would say for entrepreneurs? I would say positivity has to be it. Staying positive, because it is a roller coaster, entrepreneurship. One day you can be absolutely crushing it, and then the next day you can have a meeting with someone that doesn't go to plan, and somebody you thought you were going to work with. This happens to my clients all the time. Have an epic week or an epic day, and then the next day they have a meeting and they go, oh, I didn't feel like I was quite perfect. I didn't share my most unleashed creativity and ideas in this meeting, and I missed out. And maybe they have a client who's annoyed about something, which is generally nothing to do with them, right? Normally, if a client's upset, it's because of their own stuff that's going on.
Yes.
And maybe they're dealing with stuff personally, and so just really staying positive through that, and recognizing that a bad day, a bad hour doesn't mean it's going to be a bad year. A bad hour doesn't even mean it's going to be a bad day. So that real positivity. Okay, might have had a bad hour just now, but what can I create now? How can I create a blank canvas in this moment right now Never mind when I go to bed at night creating a blank canvas. How can I close my eyes for 2 minutes and start my day again?
Yes, and it's having the resilience to bounce back when things don't go according to plan, and looking at the big picture. It's not just what happens, as you said, in the next hour or the next day, it's what happens in the long term for you. There's the ability to dust yourself off and just say, that doesn't mean anything about me. Maybe if the client said no to working with me, that doesn't mean anything about me and who I am. What can I learn from it? And then move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and what
I
you
love
spoke
that.
to as well there was the art of non-attachment, right? That really helps you stay positive as an entrepreneur, is knowing, actually, if your goal wasn't how many clients can I close today? What if your goal was how much value can I deliver to people today? So never mind the result at the end, but how can the process be as magical as it can be, as effective and impactful as it can be? So really changing the way that we look at our measures of success as well. That's another great way to stay positive and to stay resilient.
Yes, I love that. So rather than thinking, what's in it for me, it's what's in it for the other person. Because you don't know, even if they don't buy from you, they may refer you to someone else. They may come back further down the line because you gave them so much time and great information and value in that call. And it spreads, it's a ripple effect, isn't it? It just spreads further and further out. So what's the best way for our listeners to find out more about you and your work?
Oh my gosh, time has just flown by.
It has
I love
flown
it. This
by.
is what happens when we're having a real immersive conversation. Best way for listeners to find out about me, I have a website which is definitely.com. I also do regular Facebook lives like the one I mentioned earlier that I did last night on imposter syndrome, which people will grab me on the tube and they'll go, I've been watching your Facebook lives for 3 years. I'm sorry about the siren. This is what happens when you live on Kensington High Street. People will say, I've been watching your videos for years. Sometimes they've never even liked a single video, but they've been watching it. They're like, you've changed the way I look at things. I just quit my job yesterday. So find me on Facebook at Jaimie Crooks, JAIMIE CROOKS. So my mum was being a bit arty, combined Jamie and Jem to make a new name. And so you can follow me there. And then I also have a business page, which is definitely. And lots of my videos get shared onto that.
Fantastic. So lots of ways to find out more about you and your work and to participate with you as well on Facebook Live.
Yeah, totally. I love sharing little nuggets and just giving as much value as possible. So it's a great way to get some value.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been such a pleasure to have you on and to hear all about your inner game and how it's helped you to become so successful. And for everyone who's been watching and listening, thank you so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.